Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Gracious, the Ever-Merciful. Assalamu alaikum. May peace and blessings be upon you. Beloved Hazur, with your permission, we will begin the program with a recitation from the Holy Quran by Ataullah Alim, followed by an English translation by Muhammad Suleiman.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أمر ربي بالقسط وأقيموا وجوهكم عند كل مسجد وادعوه مخلصين له الدين كما بدأكم تعودون فريقا هدى وفريقا حق عليهم الضلالة إنهم اتخذوا الشياطين أولياء من دون الله ويحسبون أنهم مهتدون يا بني آدم خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. May peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. The verses that have just been recited are from chapter 7, Surah Al-Araf, verses 30 to 32. Now I will present its English translation, done by Hadhrat Maulvi Sher Ali Sahab Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. I seek refuge of Allah from Satan, the rejected. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. Say, my Lord has enjoined justice, and fix your attention aright at every time and place of worship, and call upon him, making yourselves sincere towards him in religion. As he brought you into being, so shall you return. Some has he guided, and as for others, error has become their desert. They have taken evil ones for friends to the exclusion of Allah, and they think that they are rightly guided. O children of Adam, look to your adornment at every time and place of worship, and eat and drink, but exceed not the bounds. Surely he does not love those who exceed the bounds.
Jazakallah, thank you. To provide welcome remarks on behalf of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat Canada, I would like to request our National President, Mr. Lal Khan Malik.
In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. Your Worship Gerard Albers, Mayor of the city of Lloydminster, Ms. Colleen Young, Member of Legislative Assembly of Saskatchewan, Honorable Jason Kenney, our old friend, and John Gormley, our very dear friend. Dignitaries whom I have not named, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May peace and blessings of God be upon all of you. We are delighted and we are honored to have all of you here at the inauguration reception of Baitul Amaan Mosque in Lloydminster. The Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat has been an active part of Lloydminster community. We have put on approximately 50 events so far this year in this town and the surrounding areas. The reception today has the unique pleasure of having His Holiness present with us. His Holiness promotes the true teachings of Islam, such as peace, harmony, and love for all, hated for none. We eagerly await to hear from him. The Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat is a dynamic, fast-growing international revival movement within Islam. Founded in 1889, the community spans over 200 countries with membership exceeding tens of millions. We have built over 15,000 mosques, 500 schools, and 30 hospitals around the globe. We have translated the Holy Quran, our holy book, into more than 70 languages, and we propagate the true teachings of Islam, which is the message of peace and tolerance. We have been at the forefront in international disaster relief efforts through our independent charitable organization, Humanity First. We are Muslims who believe in the Messiah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, on whom be peace, and we promote love for all, hated for none. We are a community blessed with relationships such as yourselves, based on our genuine love of humanity. Along with our active civic engagement, the Canadian Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat is at the forefront of Canadian Islamic relations with government, media, and various agencies. Today's program is an historic moment. Canadian visit of His Holiness coincides with the establishment of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in Canada 50 years ago. His Holiness will have delivered 6 Friday sermons that have been relayed live around the globe and watched by millions. His Holiness will have also delivered 7 keynote addresses at various public events, including this one here today, and one in Ottawa to parliamentarians, diplomats, and dignitaries. Just this past Friday, His Holiness inaugurated another mosque in Saskatchewan in Regina. God willing, a 3rd mosque is to be completed in Saskatoon within the next few months. Saskatchewan has thus become a beacon of faith and growth for our community in Canada. This event is being recorded for our own 24 hours a day, 7 days a week satellite channel, Muslim Television Ahmadiyya, MTA International, which will then be played and viewed by millions of our community members and our friends and contacts around the globe. Lloydminster will thus be introduced to the world in a manner perhaps never done before. Again, On behalf of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, we thank all our guests for joining us here today. A special thank you to the Mayor-elect, Gerald Albers, who officially takes office tomorrow, Monday. To the Mayor-elect, our members are ready and eager to work with you, and to work with the city and the Lloydminster community at large. And thank you, Member of Legislative Assembly Colin Young, for attending this event. And thank you to our long-standing friend, Honorable Jason Kenney. And also thank you to John Gormley, our very dear friend. He attended our annual conference in Toronto last year. And a few days ago, he conducted an interview with His Holiness on his radio talk show. Also, a special thank you to our friend from North Battleford, Saskatchewan, His Worship Ian Hamilton. We would also like to acknowledge all the other dignitaries here today, as well as you, the community at large, and our friends, and now our neighbors. Thank you all.
Thank you for that introduction, Mr. Malik. The next part of our program is to hear from some of our distinguished table guests. Our first guest speaker represents this wonderful city of Lloydminster. Please welcome Mayor-elect, and as of tomorrow, His Worship Gerald Albers.
His Holiness, Mrs. Colleen Young, member of the Saskatchewan Legislative Assembly for Lloydminster, fellow mayors, head table guests, members of the Ahmadiyya community, ladies and gentlemen, I bring greetings on behalf of the City of Lloydminster and all residents as Mayor-elect. We welcome His Holiness to our city and all the members that are attending this function today and dedication yesterday. I hope your time here with us is blessed. As you celebrate 50 years in Canada and open your new mosque here in Lloydminster. Again, I'd like to thank you for visiting, and I hope you enjoy your opportunity here in Lloydminster, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Our next speaker is known to the members, our local members of Lloydminster, as their best friend. So I welcome Member of Legislative Assembly, Colleen Young.
Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to His Holiness, the Respectful Allah Khan Malik as well, President, fellow dignitaries, and friends in this community of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. I'd like to first begin by giving my thanks to the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat for the invitation to attend this inaugural reception of the Baitul Amaan Mosque, your newest mosque in Canada. As I noted in your invitation to myself, this provides us with an opportunity to bring together people from the world of faith, politics, and civic society. And in doing this, we can celebrate our successes and share our views on important topics such as interfaith harmony, as well as pressing global issues. On the occasion of this inauguration in Lloydminster, it's an honor for me to bring greetings on behalf of the Premier of the province, Brad Wall, and the Government of Saskatchewan. Throughout our 111-year history, Saskatchewan has developed a reputation as a welcoming province in which we believe strongly in community building. Our foundation was built by working together with shared values that include honesty, hard work, compassion, determination, and innovation. Known for being peace-loving, generous people who are quick to serve those in need, Ahmadiyya Muslims have only added to this very strong foundation that we have. Your Holiness, under your leadership, we can see, we can feel in our province and in my constituency and in our city how the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is engaged to serve humanity. There are many examples as a friend of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community that I can share with you. I know that you launched a worldwide, Canada-wide food drive, which collected 1 million pounds of food that you donated to charities across this nation. Your community also spends time visiting with our elders in their senior homes and participating in blood donor clinics. And I know they've even come to my office in the spring and offered to help with highway cleanup, which is just awesome. You have hosted multi-faith conferences and open houses in our community, all in an effort to unite people, sharing and educating about true Islam. Your Stop the Crisis has been seen, experienced, and shared worldwide. I am proud of this growing community, the important work you've done and continue to do here in Lloydminster and across Saskatchewan. I'm also proud to say that for the first time in the history of our province, an Ahmadiyya Muslim has been elected to the Saskatchewan legislature. Muhammad Fayaz, who is with us here today, is a colleague of mine, and he's also my seatmate in the legislature this time around. And he is working diligently every day to serve his constituents as well in the growing area of Regina Pasqua. Together, we have made this a stronger, more welcoming place to live, work, and raise our families. Today, we celebrate 50 years of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in Canada, and that's something we see through the purchase and renovation of what is now the Baitul Amaan Mosque here in Lloydminster. Congratulations to all of you on the completion of this project. It's an exciting time for adherents as this place of worship brings tremendous opportunities for its members. Greater opportunity for worship and education, but also for outreach in our community. I would again like to welcome and thank His Holiness for his presence and for his spiritual leadership. It is a blessing to this community. Here in Canada and Saskatchewan, we share your vision of love for all, hatred for none. And I believe we are all fortunate to live in a province and a country that is blessed with peace and prosperity. We are free to speak, worship in our own way, free to travel, and to build a better life here in Canada. And this celebration reminds us of that. From many people's strength is the Saskatchewan motto, and it is so, so true. We are proud to come from all faiths, cultures, and backgrounds. Together we are building a stronger province, a stronger Canada, and more inclusive communities to keep Saskatchewan strong. Thank you all for coming today and for the opportunity to allow me to speak on the behalf of the Government of Saskatchewan. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mrs. Young, for those nice words. Our next guest speaker is no stranger to our community. I believe he has met with members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in over a dozen cities across Canada. He is here today for this historic visit, but will also be receiving His Holiness in Calgary and attending our peace conference there. That is because he considers His Holiness a friend. Please welcome the Honorable Jason Kenney.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Canada, Your Holiness. It is wonderful that you're spending several weeks here with us, deepening the presence of the Jamaat Ahmadiyya in Canada, a community that is a model for integration, for maintaining its faith and identity in the Canadian model of pluralism, a community that is fully Muslim and fully Canadian, and is therefore a wonderful example to newcomers from across the world. Perhaps many of our fellow Canadians here are not aware that the Ahmadiyya community in various parts of the world faces daily persecution, that many of our Ahmadi Muslim brothers and sisters here came to Canada as refugees, either de facto or de jure refugees, and Some have suffered unbelievable persecution in Pakistan and Indonesia and elsewhere. Yet here in Canada, this is a community that has found peace, prosperity, and freedom. And so this is a beautiful love affair between the Jamaat Ahmadiyya and Canada. The Jamaat Ahmadiyya is also an important antidote to the problem of extremism in our modern world. It is a victim of violent extremism, and it preaches principles of Islam as a religion of peace, which are an antidote to hatred, violence, prejudice, and extremism, through its motto of love for all and hatred for none, which it truly believes and lives every day in giving back, in being part of the broader Canadian community. Your presence here today, Your Holiness, the inauguration of your mosque here, and the expansion of your community across Canada is good news for this country. So as having served as Minister for Multiculturalism for the Government of Canada for 10 years, having welcomed thousands upon thousands of Ahmadiyya Muslims to Canada as Minister of Immigration for 5 years, it's a joyful day for me to see you here. Lloydminster does not often receive international celebrities such as yourself. And this is a historic day for Lloydminster, and I think for both Alberta and Saskatchewan, to see the growing presence of your community here. So thank you for your visit. Thank you to the community for its presence and the many ways in which you give back to our broader community. God bless you all. God bless Canada, and bahut bahut shukriya.
Thank you, Jason. Our last guest speaker of this program, or this part of the program, is the well-known host of the John Gormley Show. John Show is a part of the daily morning routines for the residents of Saskatchewan. Please welcome our friend, Mr. John Gormley.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. Your Holiness, as a Saskatchewan broadcaster and as a friend of the Ahmadiyya Jamaat, I'd like to welcome on behalf of all of us in our communities your arrival here. And I did want to share with the audience, I had the profound pleasure and privilege to interview His Holiness this week in Saskatoon, but it was just moments ago that I witnessed an interesting sight. The worldwide leader of one of the great faiths of the world quizzing farmers on zero-till and crop yield. I'm not sure there are many leaders in the world who are as conversant as His Holiness is with growing wheat and other grains. I had the honor as well of attending the Jalsa Salana, the 39th, I think, a year ago in Toronto. And it reinforced for me, as a Western Canadian, the remarkable outreach in our country of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. So often, as Jason Kenney has mentioned, your members come persecuted from other parts of the world, and in terms of community outreach, in terms of civic engagement, in terms of building a better Canada, your communities, your national reach are absolutely an inspiration to us. So again, for my own part and for those of us as friends of the community, thank you for the invitation and congratulations on this latest remarkable achievement in Lloydminster. Thank you.
Thank you, John. It is a delight to be able to introduce the reason for all of us being here today in this border city of Lloydminster. As mentioned, His Holiness inaugurated the Baitul Amaan Mosque here in Lloydminster just yesterday evening. Today's reception is in honor of His Holiness's historic visit to this city. Over the past many years, His Holiness has inaugurated dozens of mosques around the globe. His Holiness always advocates for peace and justice in the world through the true and peaceful teachings of Islam. He advocates for interfaith dialogue and cross-community cohesion. His Holiness continually reminds us about being dutiful to God and to our fellow beings as a means to peace, love, and respect. Speaking at an inauguration ceremony of one of our mosques in Feltham, London, England, a few years back, His Holiness said, Whenever and wherever we have been called to help and assist in good endeavors or in service to humanity, we have always heeded the call and come running to partake in those good acts. We do so not due to any vested interests, but only due to our desire to seek God's pleasure and nearness. It is with extreme humility and honor that Allah has again bestowed upon me this opportunity to introduce to you Hadhrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, Khalifatul Masih V, and the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. Hazur.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the gracious, ever merciful. All the distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace and blessing of Allah be upon you all. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of our guests who have joined us here this afternoon on the occasion of the inauguration of our new mosque. Today's event is neither a political or worldly event, and nor has it been arranged in order to discuss and analyze world affairs. Rather, it is a purely religious event organized to mark the opening of a religious place of worship, the Baitul Amaan Mosque, built by an Islamic community. As we gather here today, it is an undeniable fact that we are passing through troubled times, and the future of the world is becoming increasingly uncertain. Conflicts continue to spread and escalate in various countries, and in particular in certain Muslim nations. Thus, anyone who has even a slight interest in current affairs may well hold a negative impression of Muslims and mosques and view them with an element of fear and suspicion. In almost every new bulletin, there are reports of bloodshed and violence, wherein governments are fighting local rebel groups, and the hostilities have developed into full-fledged civil wars, in which thousands upon thousands of innocent people are being targeted and killed. The brutalities taking place are horrific and a source of shame on humanity. Rather than small-scale, low-grade weapons, we are seeing formidable and terrifying missiles being fired and heavy bombardment and airstrikes taking place as a matter of routine. Towns and cities are being ravaged and left in ruin. Rivers of blood flow through the streets, and countless people are being left bereaved and displaced. The news media is providing constant global coverage of such atrocities, and so it is not surprising that misgivings and a fear of Islam has developed within some non-Muslims. Such reservations are now further escalating in some countries, with hatred and intolerance of Muslims rising to the surface. Given all of this, the fact that you have come to attend a mosque inauguration, which is a purely Islamic event is a sign of extraordinary courage on your part. It is also a sign that you are not amongst those people who have fallen prey to the false belief that Islam is a religion of violence and extremism. Rather, you have understood that the discord and lack of peace in Muslim countries is not linked to Islam's teachings. It shows that you appreciate that the conflicts are already actually a result of the local governments and rebels, rebel elements senselessly seeking to assert their dominance over one another and prioritizing their own vested interests above everything else. Conversely, through your contact with Ahmadi Muslims, you will have seen that our beliefs and practices are in complete contrast to the violence and injustice being perpetrated in the Muslim world. Every Ahmadi Muslim in every town, city, and nation rejects all forms of extremism and feels immense grief and heartache at the carnage and disorder being perpetrated in some Muslim countries. Similarly, we feel extreme pain and devastation when we witness suicide bombings and other brutal terrorist attacks taking place, and not only in Muslim countries, but also increasingly in the Western world. We wholeheartedly condemn such atrocities and consider them to be a complete affront to Islam's true teachings. Nevertheless, despite the peaceful and tolerant nature of Ahmadi Muslims, there may still be a few people here or in the local community who hold reservations about the opening of this mosque. This is quite understandable, given the current state of the world. And so, I say again that your participation today is an extremely brave act and sign of your open hearts and broad minds. For your kind and praiseworthy gesture, I thank you. My thankfulness is not expressed merely as an empty gesture or out of polite courtesy. Rather, it is offered with sincerity and in accordance with my faith and my religion. This is because the founder of Islam, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that a person who does not show gratitude to his fellow man is not grateful to Allah the Almighty. The Prophet of Islam, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, taught that thanking others was a means of reaching Allah the Almighty, and so professing gratitude is actually a principle of great significance for a true Muslim and a beautiful example of Islam's peaceful and inclusive teachings. Furthermore, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, did not say that Muslims should limit their appreciation to other Muslims. Rather, he instructed that they should exhibit gratitude to all people, regardless of their faith or beliefs. Hence, where my expression of thanks to you is heartfelt, it is also a religious obligation upon me. With these words of introduction, I would now like to briefly speak to you about mosques themselves and their true objectives. The Arabic word for mosque is masjid, and this word literally means a place for people to congregate in complete humility and submission in order to worship God Almighty. If a person enters a mosque with this meek spirit, considering himself to be worthless, he can never wish any type of harm on others or be the cause of discord and animosity. A Muslim who offers his prayers with humility is a person who is kind, caring, and merciful, and who strives to stay away from immorality, illegal activity, and all forms of evil. Rather than promoting disorder or division, mosques are a means of bringing people together in humility for the worship of their Creator. Hence, in chapter 5, verse 3 of the Holy Quran, Allah the Almighty states, "And let not the enmity of a people that they hindered you from the sacred mosque incite you to transgress, and help one another in righteousness and piety, but help not one another in sin and transgression. And fear Allah, surely Allah is severe in punishment." This verse establishes the duty of a Muslim to act peacefully at all times and in all places. Here Allah the Almighty prohibited those early Muslims who had been mercilessly persecuted from responding unjustly or transgressing against their oppressors, even though they had sought to prevent them from entering the holy Kaaba, the sacred mosque, which is the most revered place in Islam. Consequently, the Holy Quran has laid down an unprecedented standard of tolerance, justice, and forbearance for Muslims to abide by, wherein they are duty-bound to act righteously with grace and fairness, even to those who seek to deny them their religious freedom, rather than revenge or reprisal. The Holy Quran calls on Muslims to display nobility and to uphold the highest possible moral values, even in the most trying of circumstances. Therefore, let it be clear that there is no need to fear true mosques because they are not places of vengeance or hatred, but are abodes of peace, harmony, and unity built for the sake of worshipping God Almighty. Furthermore, in chapter 4, verse 37 of the Holy Quran, Allah the Almighty says, "And worship Allah, and associate not with Him, and show kindness to parents, and to kindred, and orphans, and the needy, and to the neighbor who is a kinsman, and the neighbor who is a stranger, and the companion by your side, and the wayfarer, and those who your right hands possess. Surely Allah loves not the proud and the boastful." In this verse, Allah the Almighty has instructed Muslims to display the very best values and morals at all times and amongst all people. It requires Muslims to lovingly serve mankind, irrespective of color, caste, or creed, starting from one's inner circle, comprising a person's parents, family, and friends, to much farther afield, including the poor and needy, orphans, and other vulnerable members of society. Likewise, Muslims have been taught to love, protect, and honor their neighbors. And according to the teachings of Islam, the scope of one's neighbors is extremely vast and far-reaching. Neighbors do not only include those who live nearby, but also many other people, including one's work colleagues and travel companions. Thus, the sphere of love in Islam is limitless. And so, how could a true Muslim ever seek to harm others or be the cause of disorder in society? Furthermore, Allah the Almighty has stated that Muslims must never fall prey to arrogance or pride, but should be humble and meek. This is the way of Islam. This is the way of true Muslims. In essence, Islam requires a Muslim to show love and compassion to all of humanity. It obliges Muslims to share in the happiness of others and to consider the pain and grief of others as though it is their own. In short, a true Muslim is a person who is merciful and compassionate, and a true mosque is a center of peace and security for all mankind. In light of such benevolent and inclusive teachings, how could a mosque be considered a place of danger or something to be feared? Certainly, wherever and whenever Ahmadi Muslims build mosques, they are built with the dual objectives of fulfilling the rights of God Almighty and also fulfilling the rights of mankind. Our mosques are built with the purpose of bringing people together and serving our neighbors and the local society. Our mosques are a beacon of light, radiating peace, love, and humanity. Wherever we have built mosques or we have established Ahmadi communities, we seek to alleviate the suffering of the local people because Allah the Almighty has linked the fulfillment of His rights with the fulfillment of the rights of humanity. Our faith teaches us that our worship and our prayers are worthless if we fail to love, support, and cherish those around us. In light of this teaching, we strive to provide a better future to the most vulnerable and impoverished members of society. For example, in Africa and other parts of the world, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community constantly reaches out to serve the local people and endeavor to fulfill their needs. Irrespective of religion, faith, or background. We are providing healthcare and education by building hospitals and schools in the most deprived parts of the world. We are also working to provide clean and potable drinking water to people. Here in the Western world, it is difficult to comprehend the true value of water because our taps and showers are constantly flowing. It is only when you visit the most isolated parts of Africa and you see with your own eyes young children walking many kilometers each day in searing heat in order to fill water vessels balanced on their heads, that you realize just what a precious commodity water really is. And even that water for which so much grueling effort is made is rarely clean, but is normally contaminated and a source of disease. Thus, we seek to alleviate the hardship of such people by installing water wells and water pumps that provide clean drinking water at their doorsteps. The sheer joy on the faces of such deprived people upon seeing clean water for the first time is indescribable. Instead of carrying earthen vessels upon their heads for hours on end, those children are now being educated in schools that our community has established. We are seeking to free them from the bondage of their poverty and help them stand upon their own feet so that they can grow to serve not only their families but also their nations. Upon providing such service, we Ahmadi Muslims are filled with joy and delight in the knowledge that we have been able to serve our neighbors and those in need, and in this way have been able to follow the teachings of our religion. We consider it to be our good fortune to remove the heavy weight of desperation from the shoulders of such disadvantaged people. This is true Islam, wherein, apart from worshipping God Almighty, Muslims strive earnestly to provide comfort to others. In the limited time available, I have only been able to briefly introduce Islam's true teachings to you. However, I am confident that having heard my words, you will have been reassured. If anyone previously did hold any reservations about this mosque, I hope they will now have been removed. Certainly, I believe that, God willing, you will come to see for yourselves that this is not just a place of worship for Ahmadi, but is a center of peace for all of mankind. You will witness firsthand that the Ahmadi Muslim living in this area will seek to serve their neighbors and their society ever more than before. I pray that our neighbors, and indeed all members of the society, come to see and witness for themselves the highest standards of benevolence, care, and consideration from the local Ahmadi Muslims. And I pray that we are never a cause of pain or concern for anyone. I am confident that the local Ahmadi Muslims will act upon this and will strive to serve humanity with selflessness and open hearts. May Allah enable them to do so. With these words, I would like to once again thank you all for joining on us this afternoon. May Allah bless you all. Thank you very much.
Huzur, thank you for those words of wisdom. As is customary at the conclusion of a session, we would request that His Holiness lead us in a silent prayer. Silent prayers are a silent moment of reflection where one can speak to God in his own and personal way. Again, you may join us in the silent prayer. Huzur, would you graciously lead us in silent prayer?
Please, silent prayer.
We haven't had anyone of this stature, certainly for many of the spiritual communities around the world, be present here. So I think it's a recognition on the part of the city that we have, this connection, and the fact that someone as important as the Holiness would take his time to come here, I think is a sign and a symbol that, we need to pay attention to this. We need to look at the good work that's being done, and we need to make sure we welcome everyone into our community.
Well, I think His Holiness has done such a great job of reaffirming the importance of what the mosque is. And he spoke about the mosque as a place not just of worship, but of gathering and of community. And again, that perspective we have, and so unfortunately, the Ahmadiyya community always ends up, in my view, doing the heavy lifting. You've got certain radicalized elements elsewhere in the faith, and it's always the Ahmadi community who build bridges and reach out and do such great interfaith work.
A man that understands the world, understands the challenges we have in the world, but sees the good in humanity and how, if working together, we can create a better world for all of us to live in.
It's always good to see the leader of a large segment of any group or any religion come to a small city like ours. It brings attention and it brings light to our city, our community, as well as to the faith. There's a big difference between spirituality and religion. Sometimes they don't meet. He emanates both spirituality and religion.
Religion can play such a huge factor in things, and I think that his speech and the openness of the community, showing people the tolerance, I think that's the most important. That we shouldn't even talk about tolerance, we should simply be accepting, but from the perspective that the community is involved and willing to help out and support at every opportunity, it speaks volumes to me.
Well, first of all, I know him quite well because I've visited him a number of times at his official residence in London. I've worked with the community to defend the rights of Ahmadiyyas in Pakistan and Indonesia. I've called on the Pakistani president, this current and the last president, to repeal the Zia al-Haq's constitutional amendment and Prime Minister Bhutto's constitutional amendment that created a second-tier constitutional status for Ahmadis in Pakistan. I worked with the community to help bring hundreds of people affected by the Lahore bombings to this country. We set up the Office of Religious Freedom in the Government of Canada to be a voice for Ahmadis and other religious minorities persecuted around the world, and done a number of other things with the community. So I'm proud of that partnership and look forward to continuing my collaboration with the Ahmadi community.